If you have an electric cooling fan that suddenly makes noise and shakes, now this problem could be true for any electric cooling fan on any car, but we are going to be using a PT Cruiser to demonstrate.
Today we've got a 2004 Chrysler PT Cruiser with a 2.4 liter engine, and the customer complaint is that they have a vibration and a clicking noise coming from under the hood. If we take a look here at the front of the vehicle, we can see clearly we have a problem in this area. As we look closer here, we can see we probably have a problem with either the fan motor or the fan shroud. And now we're going to have to remove the fan from the vehicle and set it up on the bench to find out where our problem is. In order to remove the fan assembly, we're going to have to take the front grille off. And it's very simple. There's just 4 bolts, 2 here and 2 here. And then the grille will simply come up and be out of our way. These are 4 7mm bolts. Oops. You may have to wiggle it just a little bit to break it loose. It's been on there for a while. And as you can see, there's 2 clips on the bottom of the grille. And those are just going to slide out. We also need to remove this cover here over the top of the radiator in order to get access to that fan. We have one bracket that's holding this. It's a 12mm. And then what we can do to save time is simply remove this brace and just place it on the front bumper there. If you're careful, it'll stay. By removing the brace on top of the radiator and the condenser, that gives us the ability to pull them forward. It gives us more room to work with. As you can see with the brace on top of the fan, there's not so much room to get in here. Now we have access, we have a little more room to work, and the fan assembly is going to come out a whole lot easier now. We have 6 bolts here, and they're all 10mm. You're going to have 2 on the top, 1 on each side, and then 2 underneath. We also have a radiator hose, an upper radiator hose that we have to remove. Make sure that we remove the radiator cap when we're removing the upper radiator hose to relieve any pressure that might be there. Now we've simply taken a hose clamp, placed it on the upper radiator hose. If you're doing this and you do not have a hose clamp to put on the upper radiator hose, just make sure that you put something underneath the vehicle to catch the coolant coming down. I will simply tuck this back out of our way. Okay, we're going to remove the 6 bolts out of the fan assembly. If you just lay down and reach underneath the front of the vehicle, you can easily locate the bolts on the bottom of the fan shroud. Here we can take a ratchet and place a 10mm deep socket on these bolts and remove them easily. Alright. Now removing the fan assembly after we have our 6 bolts out is very simple. We just pull the radiator and condenser forward. Should slide right out. We do want to make sure we get the electrical connector removed before we pull it all the way out. You can see the release is here. Just press down. Pull the connector loose. Okay, now that we have the fan shroud assembly removed, we can set it out here and see what we have a problem with. Now we want to make sure we inspect the fan blades for any cracking or anything broken here. Everything appears to be fine as far as the fan blades are concerned. Then we also want to check for bearing play on the fan. Normally, on this fan shroud, we shouldn't have any play in the bearings. It should be very tight. So this play in the bearing is what's causing our vibration. So we have a fan that's working, the motor is operating, and the fan is turning. However, because of the bad bearing, we have a very loud, very hard vibration. So if we look at the new bearing on the new fan shroud assembly, we can see that it's very tight in comparison to the old. Looking at the fan shroud assembly, you can see here we have 2 clips up top, we have 2 on the sides, and we have 2 on bottom. And these are going to be where your 6 bolts are holding the fan shroud assembly to the radiator. Alright, let's put this thing back in. By removing the fan assembly this way, you can see that we didn't have to remove the radiator or the condenser. We're just simply going to pull the radiator back again and place the new fan assembly inside the vehicle. Now we just simply pull the radiator back, and the new fan should just slide right in. Now we just want to place the 6 bolts back on the fan assembly where we showed you to remove them earlier. We want to put all of our bolts in first, but we don't want to snug them up until we have them all in and the fan assemblies lined up. Now I'm just going to lay under the front of the vehicle and place the 2 bottom bolts and the 2 side bolts in. Remember, we're not going to tighten them down until we have them all in. After we get all of our bolts tight on the fan assembly, we need to place the radiator hose back on, put our bracket that goes over the radiator on, and our grill, and then we can start the motor and confirm our repair. We've got the new fan installed, and now as we look closer at the vehicle, we can see that the fan is no longer vibrating or making any clicking noises. And then as we come out here, we can see that our radiator is no longer vibrating. If you have a Chrysler PT Cruiser and you have a vibration or a clicking noise coming from under the hood, this may be your problem. The job didn't turn out to be so complicated as we didn't have to remove the radiator or the condenser.
For more videos just like this, visit our website, realfixesrealfast.com.